Thousands of union workers and social movement activists took to the streets of 8 cities in Brazil today to protest a move by Brazilian far-right to try to keep former President Jair Bolsonaro out of jail. Our correspondent Brian Mier has more details.
On March 30th, social movements and union workers came out to the streets of 8 of Brazil's largest cities to protest an attempt by a far-right coalition in Congress to introduce a bill that, if passed, would grant amnesty to hundreds of people who have been indicted for alleged involvement in the January 2023 military coup attempt. Among them, former President Jair Bolsonaro, who the Supreme Court has just put on trial for allegedly leading the coup plot.
Brazil already lived through a dictatorship, which persecuted thousands of people, and we have to know our history so that we don't repeat the same mistakes. The coup plotters from January 8, 2023 have to be held accountable for trying to damage our democracy. That is why we're on the streets all over Brazil today, loudly yelling, "No amnesty."
Despite low turnout for pro-amnesty protests sponsored by the Bolsonaro family, and recent polls showing that the majority of the population believes that Jair Bolsonaro and his associates should be held accountable for their crimes, right-wing forces claim to have already guaranteed 200 votes for the amnesty bill, which means it would only need 100 more to pass in Congress. The goal of the protests is to send a message to Congress that the measure won't move forward without a fight.
For the Union of Socialist Youth, fighting attacks against democracy is in our DNA. Today is another day in which are out here, standing against amnesty for Bolsonaro and all of the coup plotters who violently tried to overthrow our democracy and damage our nation. We're out here today to give a clear message: we will never tolerate amnesty for people who attempt to attack and damage our democracy.
More protests are planned in Fortaleza, João Pessoa, and Rio de Janeiro for March 31st and April 1st. Brian Mier, TeleSUR, Recife.